Hey guys, today we're going to talk about how to use order of operations in order to evaluate expressions. So if you can take a look at your note sheet, you can fill it in as we go through. Here's just a fun joke with dogs to start off class. On your note sheet, go ahead and copy down the 2 steps for evaluating a variable expression. Step 1 would be to substitute the given numbers for each variable into the problem. I do have start, and I did want you to add that to your notes. It's really important when you do this, so you don't make a math mistake, to use parentheses when you're plugging your values in for each variable. And then step 2 would be to go ahead and use order of operations to solve the problem. So pretty easy stuff. And just to remind you, for order of operations, it's 4 steps, parentheses, then exponents, multiply and divide left to right, and then add, subtract left to right. Okay, so the first example we're going to look at is right here on the screen. It's also on your note sheet. If you go ahead and copy down what step 1 is, where we're going to substitute our values into the problem. Also, I have those values in red here, but I'm going to go ahead through and add some parentheses, which I would like you to do on your paper as well. That way you can clearly see the number that was substituted in, and later on it will help you out. So go ahead and copy that on your note sheet. From there, we're going to go ahead and evaluate actual order of operations. So our first step would be to evaluate what's in parentheses, and we have 13 minus 8 in parentheses, so go ahead and evaluate that. So you should have gotten 5 as your answer for 13 minus 8. The next step using order of operations would be to go ahead and do the division. So we would do 5 divided by 5. And you should have gotten 1 for that answer. And then your final step is very basic. You're doing 8 plus 1. And 8 plus 1 should give you 9 as your final answer. So there's your first example. Let's go ahead and take a look at another one. Okay, so here's example 2 on your note sheet. Again, we're going to go ahead through and do step 1, which would be to plug in each of the values for the variables that you see given for the problem. So go ahead and do that on your note sheet. Remember to use parentheses around those numbers as you substitute them in. Okay, this is what your problem should have looked like as you substituted your values in, and then we're going to go ahead through with just using order of operations. So we don't have anything to actually evaluate in parentheses, so our next step would be to go ahead and look for exponents. We do have 5 squared here, so we would go ahead and evaluate that. So that should give you 25, and then the next thing we have is multiplication from left to right. So I'm going to go ahead and do my 8 times 2 first. Next thing I see is my 3 times 25. And last is 2 times 3. And then the last thing I have left to do is just add and subtract from left to right. If you want to do all of that at once, I'm okay with that. If you want to just go left to right and do it step by step, that's fine as well. So 16 minus 75 is negative 59, plus your 6, different sign, so we're going to subtract to get negative 53 as a final answer. So I apologize for the way I had to rewrite this. The formatting got messed up when I imported. So you've got x cubed plus 10y over 2 minus, in parentheses, z plus y squared. So first step would again be to evaluate, plug everything in using parentheses. Okay, so once you plug everything in parentheses, I do have a group of parentheses on the bottom, and on top, the first thing I know I would do is 5 cubed. So I'm going to save space and actually do both of these at once, since you technically have to simplify the entire numerator and the entire denominator separately, and before you can actually do the final step of division. So 5 cubed on top should be 125 plus 10 times negative 3. On bottom, I'm going to keep that 2 minus, and in parentheses, I'm actually going to do my exponent first. So this is still going to remain a negative 8, and then negative 3 in parentheses squared is positive 9, so I have negative 8 plus 9. Okay, from there, my numerator, the next step I would do on top would be 10 times negative 3. On the denominator, I still need to evaluate those parentheses, so negative 8 plus 9. So my numerator is 125 plus negative 30. My denominator would be 2 minus, and then negative 8 plus 9 is just 1. Lastly, on top, I need to do 125 plus negative 30, which is really 125 minus 30, and that should give me 95. And my denominator, 2 minus 1, is 1. Final step, you can divide that, and we just end up with a 95 as our answer. Okay, I'm going to have you go ahead and try these next 3 problems on your own. I will pause the video so that you guys can try the problems on your paper first, and then I will go ahead and give you the answer so you can check and see how you did. Go ahead and work out problem number 4 now, and if you get done with that, you can work ahead on 5 and 6, and then you can just check your answers up here. Okay, your answer for number 4 should have been 42. You can check your steps up here. The big thing to be careful of here is this is technically -4 times -13, which creates that positive 52. Go ahead and try number 5 if you haven't already done so. Okay, your answer for number 5 should have been -320. Again, you're just doing your exponent first, and because it is a cube, that's going to be -4 times itself 3 times, which is 3 negatives. The clue there is that you're going to have a negative answer, so you could have gotten rid of option D right away, and then you would just need to evaluate what -64 times 5 is. And go ahead and try number 6 on your own, and then we'll see how you did. Okay, and then number 6 should have been C, -6. At that point, you were evaluating by multiplying first, then adding 4 on the top, and then dividing your final answer by 2. So hopefully this came back as a reminder to what you should have learned last year in pre-algebra, and hopefully it helps also review your order of operations. So that's it for your video notes on evaluating expressions. The back of your note sheet we're actually going to look at in class tomorrow, so don't worry about doing those. And hopefully you guys have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.